I was 15 years old when my parents decided I wasn't their daughter anymore. The storm outside felt violent, like the sky itself was angry. Wind howled through the trees. Rain slammed against the windows, and thunder cracked so close it made the walls shake. Inside our living room, the lights were on, but everything felt dark. My mother stood with her arms crossed, lips pressed tight. My father paced back and forth, running his hand through his hair like he was trying to calm himself down. And my sister, Emily, stood between them, crying, or at least pretending to. I didn't want it to come to this, she said, her voice shaking. But she's been lying to all of you. For months. I frowned. What are you talking about? Emily sniffed, wiping her cheeks. She's sick. Mentally. She's been hiding it. My mother gasped. What? She skips school. She locks herself in her room. I found pills in her backpack. Emily continued quickly. Strong ones. My stomach dropped. Those pills were iron supplements. The doctor gave them to me after I fainted in gym class. I had told Emily everything. That's not true, I said, my voice trembling. Mom, Dad, she knows. Is it true? My father interrupted sharply, stopping right in front of me. Are you hiding something from us? No, I said. I'm just anemic. I showed you the prescription. She threatened me. Emily cut in suddenly. The room went silent. She told me if I told anyone, she'd hurt herself and blame us. Emily whispered, lowering her head. I stared at her, frozen. Emily, why are you lying? She didn't answer. My father's face hardened. So that's it, he said quietly. You're dangerous. I'm not. I cried. She's doing this because she's scared I'll tell you what she... Enough. My mother snapped. I don't want to hear another word. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Worse, like I was a problem that needed to be removed. I can't have this in my house, she said. I don't need a sick daughter ruining this family. My father walked to the front door and yanked it open. Cold wind and rain rushed inside. Get your things, he said. I stared at him, my ears ringing. What? You heard me, he said. Get out. Tears burned my eyes. It's storming. I'm 15. You should have thought of that before lying to us, he replied. I didn't lie. I sobbed. Emily stood behind them, silent now, not crying anymore, watching. I grabbed my hoodie and backpack with shaking hands. When I stepped outside, the rain soaked me instantly. My father slammed the door behind me and locked it. Just like that, I was alone. The storm swallowed me as I walked down the street. My shoes filled with water. My fingers went numb. My phone battery died. I don't remember collapsing. I only remember thinking they chose her. And then everything went black. The first thing I heard was a steady beeping. Slow. Calm. Nothing like the storm that had swallowed me hours earlier. I tried to open my eyes, but everything felt heavy like my body had been glued to the bed. When I finally managed to blink, bright white light burned my vision. The smell of antiseptic filled my nose. A hospital. I tried to move, but my chest tightened and my head spun. A nurse immediately appeared beside me. Easy, she said softly, placing a hand on my shoulder. You're safe. Where am I? I whispered, my throat dry. You were brought in by ambulance, she replied. Someone found you collapsed near a gas station. You were soaked, freezing, and barely conscious. My memory came back in flashes, the door slamming shut. Rain in my eyes, the cold creeping into my bones. My parents. I said. The nurse hesitated. We contacted them. My stomach twisted. They'll be here soon, she added, though her tone wasn't reassuring. She explained that I had severe hypothermia, dehydration, and extremely low iron levels. They were keeping me overnight for observation. As she adjusted my four, I stared at the ceiling. My heart pounding not from fear of being sick, but from fear of seeing my parents again. I didn't know what hurt more, being thrown out, or knowing they believed my sister without question. Hours passed. The door finally opened, but it wasn't my parents who walked in. It was a man I barely recognized at first. Tall, broad-shouldered, with graying hair and tired eyes. He froze when he saw me, his face draining of color. "Oh my God," he whispered. I frowned. "Do I know you?" His eyes filled instantly. He rushed forward, stopping himself just short of hugging me. "It's me," he said, voice breaking. "Uncle Mark." The name hit me like a wave. My father's older brother. The one my parents stopped talking 2 years ago after some argument I never fully understood. The one who used to sneak me candy at family barbecues and tell me I was smarter than I thought. I didn't even know they still had me listed as an emergency contact, he said, gripping my hand gently. When the hospital called, I just drove. I didn't ask questions. I stared at him, stunned. "Why? Why would they call you?" He swallowed hard. "Because your parents didn't answer." That sentence sank deep. Uncle Mark pulled up a chair and sat beside my bed. "What happened?" he asked quietly. I tried to speak, but my voice shook. Tears slipped down my cheeks before I could stop them. I told him everything, Emily's lies, my parents' words, the door locking behind me. His jaw tightened with every sentence. "They threw you out," he said slowly. "In a storm." I nodded. He looked away, rubbing his face. "I knew it," he muttered. "Knew what?" I asked. "That they were capable of this," he replied. But I hoped I was wrong. Before I could ask what he meant, voices echoed in the hallway. My parents. I recognized my mother's sharp tone instantly. My father's heavy footsteps followed. They walked into the room and stopped dead. My father's face went pale. His mouth opened, then closed. My mother whispered, "What is he doing here?" Uncle Mark stood up slowly and turned to face them. "I could ask you the same thing," he said coldly. My father's hands started shaking. I noticed it immediately. He tried to hide them by shoving them into his pockets, but they trembled anyway. You can't be here," my father stammered. "Oh, but I can," Uncle Mark replied. "The hospital called me." "Since you didn't answer." My mother looked at me, then away. "We didn't know it was this bad," she said defensively. "She ran away." Uncle Mark laughed, but there was no humor in it. "She didn't run away. You threw her out." "That's not what happened," my father snapped. "Oh." Uncle Mark stepped closer. "Then explain why your 15-year-old daughter was found unconscious in a storm." Silence. The nurse returned, sensing the tension. "Visiting hours are limited," she said firmly. "Only one visitor at a time." My parents looked at me, waiting. I didn't say a word. Uncle Mark placed a hand on my shoulder. "I'm staying." The nurse nodded. "That's fine." My parents were escorted out. When the door closed, I felt a strange mix of relief and dread. Uncle Mark sat back down. "They don't deserve you," he said quietly. I stared at my hands. "They think I'm sick." "Dangerous." He shook his head. "They believed a lie because it was easier than facing the truth." "What truth?" I asked. He hesitated. "Emily isn't who they think she is." My heart skipped. "What do you mean?" Before he could answer, my phone buzzed on the bedside table. The nurse must have plugged it in earlier. A message from Emily. "Don't say anything. You'll just make it worse." I looked up at Uncle Mark, and for the first time since that night, I realized something important. This wasn't over. The next day, I wasn't sure if I was awake or still trapped in some nightmare. Uncle Mark stayed by my side, though I could see the worry in his eyes. Every time the door opened, I braced myself for my parents, yet when they finally showed up, I didn't feel any relief. It was as if my body had already braced for the worst. This time, it was my mother who entered first, her face tight. "We need to talk," she said in a voice that was so cold it could have frozen the room. Uncle Mark stood up immediately, but I didn't speak. I wasn't ready to hear their excuses, their denials. I could already feel the anger and betrayal bubbling inside me. "You're not taking her anywhere," Uncle Mark said firmly. "Not until we get this straight. You have no right to interfere in this family." My father snapped from behind my mother. His voice was rough, as if he'd been up all night. But I didn't feel sympathy. "You stopped being a family the minute you kicked her out in a storm." Uncle Mark shot back, his words sharp. I tried to say something, but the words stuck in my throat. My parents had always been the ones to protect me. Or so I thought. They'd always been my safe place. Now they were strangers. "Why didn't you believe me?" I whispered, my voice barely above a tremor. "You've always known me. Why did you choose Emily's word over mine?" My father looked away, unable to meet my gaze. My mother, on the other hand, stared at me with eyes full of guilt, but it wasn't enough. Not for what they'd done. "We didn't know what to believe," my mother said, but her voice lacked conviction. "Emily said." "Emily lied," Uncle Mark cut her off sharply. "And you didn't question it. You just believed her." Without asking a single thing. I felt my heart pound in my chest. "What do you mean, she lied?" Uncle Mark hesitated before responding. "Your sister has been manipulating you for years. She's been doing it to your parents too. But you never noticed. I saw it the moment I came back into your lives. The things she says to get attention. The way she controls every situation." I felt like the floor was giving out beneath me. "What are you saying?" "Your sister has always had a way of making people believe her," Uncle Mark said softly. "I've watched her turn your mother and father against each other in the past, all so she could get what she wanted. And now, she's got your parents convinced you're something you're not. But why?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Why would she do this to me?" "She's scared," Uncle Mark said, shaking his head. "She's scared of you. She's always been jealous of the way your parents treated you, the way they always favored you. And now that you're older, you're getting the attention she feels like she's lost." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was Emily capable of all of this? Of destroying me just to stay in the spotlight? "We need to get to the truth," Uncle Mark added. "And we're going to do it the right way." The door slammed open. Emily walked in as if she owned the room. "You need to stop filling her head with lies," Emily snapped. "You're just making this harder for her. She's already sick enough as it is." I turned to her, feeling a cold shiver run through me. "You're lying," I said. "I didn't lie about anything." "You're just confused," Emily said, smiling sweetly like she had the upper hand. "You've always been a problem. You can't even take care of yourself. And now you're blaming me?" I stood up, fury burning through my veins. "Stop. You've ruined everything. You made Mom and Dad believe you instead of me. You've taken everything I had." Uncle Mark stepped forward, blocking her from coming any closer. "That's enough, Emily. You've manipulated this family for too long. You're the one who's been manipulating everyone," Emily sneered. "I didn't do anything wrong. You're all just too weak to see the truth." Her words stung, but they also confirmed everything Uncle Mark had said. This wasn't just about me being sick or unstable. This was about Emily being terrified that the attention might shift away from her. "I don't need your lies anymore," I said, my voice trembling with anger. "I won't let you do this to me anymore." Emily's expression faltered for the briefest moment, but then she straightened her back and sneered. "Whatever, then. But don't come crawling back to me when you realize you're the one who messed up." I felt my heart hammering in my chest, but I refused to back down. Not this time. I wasn't going to be her pawn any longer. "I don't need you," I said, my voice steady now. "I never did." Uncle Mark stayed by my side. He helped me make a plan. A real one. I wasn't going to let my sister get away with this anymore. Not without facing the consequences. But as I looked at Emily, still standing in the doorway, I realized something else. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I was discharged from the hospital 3 days later. Not to my parents' house. Not back to the life I had before. Uncle Mark took me home with him. At first, it felt wrong, like I was doing something illegal, like I was betraying my family. But the truth was, my family had already betrayed me. Uncle Mark didn't ask me to forgive anyone. He didn't push me to confront my parents. He simply gave me space, a quiet room, warm meals, safety, things I didn't realize I'd been starving for. Social services got involved because of what happened. The hospital staff had filed a report. Suddenly, my parents couldn't pretend that this was just a misunderstanding. There were interviews, questions, records pulled from my school and my doctor. Every lie Emily told started collapsing one by one. Still, my parents resisted. She's confused. My mother insisted. Emily wouldn't lie. But then came the message. A social worker recovered deleted texts from Emily's phone. Messages she had sent to friends. Messages she never thought anyone would see. If she stays, I'll lose everything. They always feel sorry for her. I just need her gone. Gone. That word echoed in my head when Uncle Mark read them aloud. When my parents were shown the evidence, they didn't speak at first. My father sat down heavily, his face pale. My mother's hands started shaking the same way his had in the hospital. They asked to see me. I didn't want to. But Uncle Mark looked at me gently. This time, he said, "You're in control." We met in a small conference room. No yelling. No drama. Just silence. Emily wasn't there. She'd refused to come. My father tried to speak but couldn't. His mouth opened, then closed again. His hands trembled in his lap. We were wrong, my mother finally whispered. I didn't respond. My father's voice broke. When I saw you in that hospital bed and saw who was sitting beside you, I realized something. I looked up. I realized someone else was protecting you, he said. When we didn't. Tears streamed down his face. I failed you, he said. And I don't know how to live with that. The room felt heavy. I didn't need you to cry, I said quietly. I needed you to believe me. They had no answer. Emily was later removed from the house temporarily due to the investigation. Counseling was ordered. Consequences followed, real ones. Not the kind she could cry her way out of. As for me, I stayed with Uncle Mark permanently. He enrolled me in a new school, helped me rebuild, supported me without conditions. Months passed. One evening, while we were eating dinner, Uncle Mark looked at me and said, "You know, surviving doesn't always look loud. Sometimes revenge is just living well after someone tried to erase you." I finally smiled. Years later, my father came to see me again. He looked older, smaller. I don't expect forgiveness, he said. I just needed you to know. Every day, I remember that night. And every day, I wish I had opened the door. I nodded, but I didn't invite him in. Because the truth is, the night they kicked me out in a storm, they didn't just lose a daughter. They lost the right to decide who I became. And the man whose hands shook in that hospital room, he wasn't scared of losing control. He was terrified because he realized someone else had already stepped in and saved me.